Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Smart Infraco Tech Forecast 2026 webinar. It's a pleasure to have you joining us today as we explore key tech trends, infrastructure priorities, cybersecurity considerations that organizations must prepare for in 2026. This session is designed to provide practical, forward-looking insights for leaders across government, enterprise, and private sector as they plan for the year ahead. Smart Infraco is Ghana's national digital infrastructure provider, delivering secure connectivity, cloud services, data center solutions, and managed services to over 1,500 public, private institutions nationwide. Today's discussion reflects Smart Infraco's commitment to supporting organizations with the knowledge and infrastructure required to succeed in an increasingly digital economy. To help me to be able to have this discussion is Maxwell Apia, who is a sales manager at Smart Infraco. We also have Robert Nesta Gamaji, data center manager, Rosetta Akutu, who is the cybersecurity manager, and then Kelvin Enyamiche, who is a senior cloud engineer. Thank you all for being part of this conversation.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you.
So I would like to start from Maxwell. Basically, your core focus will be on customer needs, market trends, buying behavior, and then commercial readiness for 2026. So what types of services are customers increasingly asking for in terms of managed services, cloud, cybersecurity, or connectivity, and why?
Thank you very much. So, in our space, and especially on the market now, cloud service is one of the services that a lot of customers are asking. Organizations, either private or government, are generating a lot of data. Their data requirement has gone up, and people are looking for solutions that will reduce their cost. So for cloud service, you don't need to go and buy any on-prem hardwares where every year, now and then, you need to renew your license. So going on the cloud is a bit affordable to organizations. So a lot of organizations are moving there. You have the banks, you have government agencies, you have manufacturers, a lot of, and the demand is going to grow going into 2026. Other service that people are also requesting on the market is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, because once we are generating a lot of data, what it means is that this data must be protected. People are now going onto the internet. And once you are going onto the internet, what it means is that you are connecting from one point to the other. And if you look at it, increasingly it's becoming, and especially in the news recently, where cybercrime has become quite common. So there's some enforcement, especially going into 2026, where government institutions need to protect themselves by getting cybersecurity services. The cybersecurity market, when I was doing some research, I realized, and it's been projected that in 2028, we're going to have, the market size is going to grow to about $78 million in Ghana. So what it means is that there is growing need, which going into 2026 is going to go up. Also, you cannot discount connectivity, internet, because even if you want to go into the cloud, you still need access, and that access is over the internet. So internet continue to grow, and especially outside of the city of Accra. So there's still some shortfalls, and these are areas that will continue to grow. Maybe the last one I want to say, managed services. So going into 2027, what other institutions are doing, which we've seen in some requests coming, is that we want you to manage our IT infrastructure for us, so that we can focus on our core mandate of doing business. So basically, in summary,
All right. So Kelvin, I'm coming to you. You have an expertise within cloud, and so I would want you to give us a bit of learning with regards to cloud adoption, hybrid architecture, systems engineering, and then cloud native readiness. So, for instance, what cloud adoption trends do you expect to dominate in 2026, especially for government and then enterprises?
So, in terms of cloud adoptions that are currently rising today in the global world, like you mentioned, is cloud native solutions and hybrid architectures where institutions are looking for very minimal forms to run their workloads. Back then, you would require big hardwares, big devices to manage or build your solutions across, and it requires a lot of management. Today, institutions are looking for automation or orchestration tools which would help deploy these services very, very easily and as quickly as possible. There's also the adoption where at first institutions used to only host their applications locally. So anytime that they want to have their services, they need to put up hardwares for even non-critical applications or services. They need to put up hardware in their premises. Now institutions are adopting the factor where they understand that the cloud is also affordable and cheaper to run their services, and in as much as they would want to obtain some form of sovereignty even with their data, they go with the approach of having a hybrid cloud solution. So going forward, there will be a lot of adoption in the sense of having hybrid solutions for their infrastructure. Then the other things that we are looking at right in the year 2026 is institutions are starting to take serious their policies and also ensure that their data sovereignty is very, very good and solid for the regulatory agencies that overlook or have oversight over data sovereignty. So next year, institutions would be firming up their policies, data policies, to be able to meet regulatory requirements of their local country. There are a lot of cases or scenarios where we've seen that institutions who hosted or who had their data outside the country were not pretty much familiar with data sovereignty and data security laws, and there has been a lot of implications that has come with that. So institutions are adopting the approach where they host their data locally and also firm up the policies that has to do with their data. Then lastly, one of the major things that is growing seriously is edge computing. Now a lot of individuals have understood that there are devices or there are technologies that you can have at your home. You wouldn't necessarily need to have it with a big enterprise to run your institution or run your company. So now a lot of people would be adopting edge computing where they will have very minimal devices to run and operate in their office, their homes, or wherever they find themselves. And what will drive this edge computing heavily in the coming year is when 5G becomes available. Because with 5G, for you to be able to have access to faster internet, you need to have your devices nearby you, and once you have that, a lot of smart homes will spring up, and these are things that will be adopted heavily in the coming years.
Yeah, so that's very, very insightful. Thanks for sharing. So I think with all that Kelvin has been sharing, then we just have to turn to Robert, who is the DC facility manager, to find out our readiness. So what are the most critical data center considerations organizations must focus on as we go into the new year?
Yes, good afternoon, and let me say Merry Christmas and an expectant New Year to our viewers and listeners. Now, a lot of people will be looking at power consumption. As Maxwell said, you realize that there is growing use of data. And when it comes back to the data center, you are talking about power usage. Because of that, organizations will be looking at how to mix their power with some sort of solar, so that they can reduce what is coming from utility. In fact, you realize that PURC has been increasing, power, water, and all that, year on year. So a lot of organizations will be looking at how to reduce their power consumption, how to, mix other factors to make power consumption, lower. A lot of organizations will also be looking at talent, retention. So in the data centers, there are pull and push factors. At other places, people are resigning, people are going to, organizations that are giving them much better offers. So organizations will be looking at how to train, their talents, how to make them stay, and how to make good use of, them in the facilities. Then there is an issue of co-location versus on-prem. So organizations will be looking at, whether to host their data or take it to data centers, where you will see for data centers with co-location, a lot of people will bring their servers, their facilities to the data center, and you will see that when that happens, they will be saving a lot of money as opposed to hosting their services on-prem. So in a nutshell, a lot of organizations will be looking at some of these things to make the decision as to whether they want to, reduce their cost, for the years coming, whether to host with the data centers or to keep their activities within their premises.
Right. Thank you. So Rosetta, I come to you. I believe that in all these conversations that we are having, one of the things that we realize is still a major concern for most organizations is cybersecurity. So in this case, we're looking at maybe the threat landscape, the cyber risk, the organizational defense, and then zero trust. So what will be the most common vulnerabilities you observe in the Ghanaian organizations today? And what new or evolving cybersecurity threats should organizations expect as we go into 2026?
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon once again, and Merry Christmas to all the viewers, and a prosperous New Year to all of us as well. So currently, there are some, I would like to touch the threats that are ongoing currently in Ghana. For some time now, there has been this mobile money fraud, scammers around, that they will call you, they will tell you your account is with this particular bank, so you are supposed to link your mobile money to the bank for them to have easy access for transaction fee, evasion, whatever. But these scammers, they are very smart. This boils down to AI, because most of them are looking up to AI. Since now they say we are AI-driven technology country, we are promoting AI in the nation. Some are going for AI tools or agents that they install onto their machines, that they get access to so many database of organization in the country. So this boils down to how data protection, there's a gap between data protection and also the individual or our database. Because if you are a certified data protection company, then the people are giving you information, then meaning you are supposed to protect our database. But if it is not protected, that is where we have a challenge. Now the trust. People, for example, if I'm a lay person, I come to your organization, I give you all my information, but somehow the scammers get access to my information at your organization. Does it mean that I am not being protected in the nation? Then our data protection organization or policy needs to be enforced. They need to be, in fact, they need to be audited for each organization. That is where Smart will come in. Since we are data protection, once your data is with us, you are secure. Your information are safe. So I want to touch something about the cloud infrastructure. When it comes to compliance, you are supposed to meet some baseline requirements before people will trust you. Okay, now I want to give you my information for you to save it on your infrastructure for me. So our cloud infrastructure, we are well secured.
Okay.
Because
That's good to hear.
the team is well their expertise. Because we are data protection certified and we are ISO certified, we make sure your data is secured with us. So the compliance one, we meet the compliance. We make sure nobody have access to your information. So if you come to us, we are well secured. So the scammers, I want to emphasize on the scammers, and I would like to use this platform to educate the people out there. For example, when a scammer calls you, I'm saving with this particular bank, link your mobile money, they will send you a WhatsApp message with an embedded link. This is social engineering. Now people are learning hacking day in and out because they said hacking will give you money. Our minister will say, now we are coming after you people. So we are also to be vigilant in the sense that once they call you, link your send me your PIN through these forms, Google Forms, be smart. This is not coming from your bank. This is not coming from your the organization that you saved your data with. This is coming from scammers. So the main focus this year was social engineering, because that is what the scammers were emphasizing on. And the trend that will be going in 2026, because we are AI-driven country, or we are promoting AI, we are going to experience more of this social engineering.
So that's where my next question, so probably maybe I'll take it from you, because as you mentioned, there's a growing influence or trend of artificial intelligence, like in all spheres of life.
Yeah.
Now today, I mean, when you go to YouTube, there are some even type of music that have been made using AI, picking on maybe what some artists have done previously. And sometimes the production is such a sweet thing. So in your view, how is AI influencing cyber attacks and cyber defense strategies?
So I would say AI is a double-edged
sword.
Correct.
Okay.
In the sense that it has the good side, it has the bad side. The good side is that it is going to help we the engineers to be more proactive, because it is an automated tools that we embed into our systems. So in this case, once we embed it into our system, we are able to get, or for threat hunting, it promotes threat hunting on our infrastructure, so that we will, the feasibility of our system will be well known. We will know where the attack is coming from, what to do, and who we should attack, and what we should do to prevent the attack ongoing. So AI, one, it is good to help we the engineers be very, very proactive, because sometimes, for example, you might go on night shift, we can't keep major. You'll be very tired, or during some peak hours within the night shift hours, you feel very dizzy, like, oh, let me take a little nap. But because your system is embedded into, AI is embedded into your system, when it comes to the SOC environment, that is what I want to emphasize on what our sales manager said. For cybersecurity, we want to promote cybersecurity for 2026. In the sense that we have something called SOC environment, that is the Security Operations Center. That is where we have a tool called a SIM, that is the Security Incident Event Management. It collates all the logs of all our system. Then we, the analysts or the engineers, we do a proper feasibility. So with the help of the AI, once, even if you take a nap, it will be easy for you to get the alert quickly. Then once we get the alert, then we take the actions immediately. So with the AI, as organizations, it is helping us to help us minimize threats on the infrastructure. Since we are trying to protect the government entity, the individuals, the enterprise, anyone, once you are connected to us, we make sure your data, your information, your system is our priority. So we make sure we protect it for you. The bad side of it is, now people are using it to lure people to get money. It is the quickest way for people, or let me say the scammers, to get money. Because there are so many tools, or agent tools, AI tools, that once I change my voice, I do this, I send you a fake video with your little knowledge or ignorance, you click on it, I'll get access to your information. So we should be extra vigilant on 2026.
Yeah.
Some images will come to your phone, messages, videos. Let's be very, very vigilant. I want to emphasize on the word vigilant. You shouldn't be just saying, oh, we don't mean I can track the person. We can track the person. Come on. They are smarter than you. It is AI. It is AI. They are very smarter than we are. So we have to be extra vigilant.
Okay.
And phishing will also be another target. That is where I want to emphasize on organization to promote awareness training, especially the top, the middlemen. In fact, you have insider threat. Because, for example, look at the MTN, the scammers.
Yeah.
Those who scam you through the MTN mobile money. It will boil down to an insider threat. Because if they are data protection certified, then I'm very sure that our information will not be leaked. But how would our information be leaked outside? It is through an insider threat. If I'm working and you call me, oh, my sister, I want to get some information based on this. I'm just promoting my work. The person will just give you some database of contacts for you to send broadcast messages. No, they follow you. So the insider threat, so that is where we are supposed to promote, the organization is supposed to promote awareness training on phishing, malware, ransomware, and also the security team. We shouldn't be idle. We should be cybersecurity advocates. We should come out, awareness. We should come out and train, speak to the people, day in and out. Even if you have the little chance for you to broadcast certain things when it is about cybersecurity, to make sure we promote safetyness of our nation or the individual in the nation. We should go ahead and do it. Thank you.
All right. That's so expansive and very, very insightful. So, Robert, coming to you.
Yes.
Have you observed any trends in capacity usage or power demand that indicate how organizations will operate in the next year? And if you have, just throw a bit of light on that.
Yes, you're right. Power usage, it comes down to what Maxwell said. There is more activity, people are doing more data, and that comes back to the data center as more power, So the demand is there. We need to improve capacity. Okay, a lot of data centers need to improve capacity. A lot of organizations would have to improve capacity because the demand is there. Now, to do that, you see, most of the time, there are organizations or data centers that have built and they've not made it scalable. And so, in scaling, then you will see that the misstep of now bringing in new machinery becomes a problem, or taking out legacy equipment becomes a problem. So a number of organizations will be scaling up because of the trends that are happening. A number of organizations will also be looking to cloud.
Okay.
You see, so that is something we need to look out to seriously. Cloud services. We need to educate a lot of people on cloud. A lot of people must, use it. A lot of people must stop the silo developments. Every organization wants to have its own data storage somewhere within their prem. The data centers are there to be used. So the trends we have observed, true, people are coming to the data centers. There are also, some organizations that say, oh, build it, they will come, without planning. The coming year, we should lend ourselves to a lot of planning, so that all these things can dovetail into, the company's financial, plan. So, going forward, 2026, going forward, a lot of planning must take place, and a lot of people must understand that the age we are right now is AI, and AI processing is a lot of power. People will also be investing in some edge data centers, like Nyamiche said, you know. Edge data centers, people don't want to, go and put their infrastructure far away from them. They want to have the infrastructure just near them. So people will be investing in, such sort of data centers. They are data centers, but they are mini. That's why we call them edge data centers. They are very near to the organizations.
I wanted to seek clarification on that. You people are technical people. For those of us in commercial, sometimes we need to be able to have some bit of insight on that. So, Kelvin, I think I'll come to you. There's been a lot of emphasis and conversations around the cloud adoption growing. What do you see as the biggest challenges in organizations transitioning from hybrid to multi-cloud environments?
So the biggest challenges currently that people see here today has to do with the skill gap. Now, with the way technology is growing very fast, when new solutions are coming up, people have to train, people have to learn, people have to know how to make use of them. Today, one of the biggest trends in terms of technology is the use of orchestration and automation tools. Back then, when people would have to do a lot of manual work to achieve whatever solution goal they are looking for, now there are a lot of automation tools to make them easier. So the skill gap in that sense is going to grow heavily because people will now have to learn a lot of scripting, a lot of how to make these tools work. And the way the conversation has grown towards AI, people would have to learn and train on how they need to make use of those AI tools. So there will be a very big skill gap because there will be a few people who would know how to use these tools or make very much efficient use of them. Currently, one of the biggest problems that is going on in the cloud sector has to do with the way the cloud providers are introducing a lot of new tools platforms, and all these are to make it easier. Then before people will know how to make use of them, they need to train and understand how these technologies work. And today has become a challenge. So instead of people advancing to make use of these new tools, they get lazy and then they resort to going the manual way because that is what they understand. So that is one bigger challenge that is going to happen. Another one is the interoperability. So with the way people are, adopting cloud native tools, adopting edge computing and all of those things, the biggest problem is, connecting these tools to whichever solution that they have, either on the cloud or local. And when you build these kind of technologies, being able to make sure they connect together, they work together to provide whatever information or tool you need, becomes a very big problem because there are different solutions. Now, when you go on there, everybody, even with the use of the AI now, everybody is able to stand up to build any application of their choice. When they have AI tools, they can build any application of their choice. But what makes their biggest problem is to be able to integrate those applications into today's existing solutions. So that would be one of the bigger challenges that is going to happen today. Another one which is very, very predominant, especially for enterprise customers, enterprise companies, would be cost. Now, with the growing trend of AI is very expensive, especially in terms of hardware. Now, a lot of institutions want to adopt the use of AI both locally and publicly, but then they do not understand the cost effect that comes with these hardwares. So once they go to the market, they ask for the cost of a hardware node, they see that it is very expensive, so then they choose to go to the cloud. Not everybody will be privy to that. So when they go to the market, they see the cost implications that come with these things. They would tend to want to draw back from investing in the AI market. So now what is happening is they are looking to find ways to make hardware costs cheaper and affordable so that everybody can have access to the AI technologies that are growing in the world. So it's going to be a very big challenge, and I believe cost is what is going to slow down AI being close to the general consumer, because if the hardwares can only be consumed and maintained by providers. It means the basic consumer cannot have access to, AI basically in terms of their home. And the goal is to have internet connectivity technologies close to everybody to be able to make use of whatever solution that they are looking for. Then one critical challenge that people are also going to experience a lot is having to determine which solutions they deem critical or non-critical and where to put them on. So a big example is today the financial sector, the banking and financial sector. They are the biggest investors when it comes to adopting local cloud and hardware, because they need to keep most of their data sovereign. Now, with the way they would also want to adopt AI for analytics, whatever automation that they require, it means they need to invest in these hardwares, AI hardwares. Now, because they are very expensive, then there comes the conversation of them want to adopt cloud to reduce their cost. But it becomes a problem, because what do you deem critical and more secure to keep locally, and what do you also deem non-critical to put on the cloud? So that would be a bigger conversation. Then how would you be able to convince these sectors that you can save them cost and still provide them the same solution that they are looking for? So basically, these are some of the bigger challenges that are going to come with people trying to adopt AI and security closer to them as well.
Thank you so much. So Max, I think I'll come to you. Are usually on the market, engaging with our clients in both the public sector and then the private sector. What do you identify as the infrastructure or tech gaps that is, most commonly seen during this engagement?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I normally see, what I realize is, for most, especially for public sector, will be legacy systems. So the systems that they run, for some of them, some of these systems are even out of life. In some institutions, some of these buildings that they use for their operations has been in existence for years, and the cables that they run, or the cable that they use to run their internal infrastructure, that is their local area network, may have been there for a number of years. And because of that, experiencing internet at such places are quite difficult. One of the things we've done over the years is to serve as consultants to most of these institutions. So we engage our technical team to go to some of these places to go and do proper audit. Okay. And once some of these audits are done, the team goes back to fix some of these problems. The other gap I also see is actually hosting infrastructure locally. So far, I don't know too many organizations that have put up, data centers that are hosting, cloud infrastructure. We with NITA, with government cloud, but the demand keeps, growing, because every now and then people would want to quickly adopt that. Then connectivity as well, especially if you move outside of Accra. A lot of places there is no, there's no connectivity. There are some offices that have connectivity at their head office in Accra, but they need connectivity at the regions. So, and the infrastructure, I know government is doing a lot. If you look at the government infrastructure that was put up, but it is not enough to address some of these things. And then also one of the gaps I also see is human capital. So in these institutions, especially now that we are drifting or technology is changing, most organizations that contact us for services, especially cloud and other services, normally will come through consultants. So, going into 2026, one of the things the institutions need to do is to develop their human capital to make sure that the basis, the basis are lent, so that the individuals are equipped. Because one of the things that I've realized is that when they are equipped, they are able to manage things, and they also get the confidence. It's not that everything they need to rely on. So you're having a conversation and they tell you, oh, this one, unless I call the consultant. And some of the things are very basic. Some of us are not even, very technical, are able to understand, but they will tell you that, well, for us to have such a conversation, let's bring. So I think that these are some of the gaps that we've said. Just also want to say that when it comes to security, I think she mentioned, and she's on top of it in terms of cybersecurity, we signed an agreement with NITA to sell Trend Micro, which is an international cybersecurity firm. So going into 2027, because already cybersecurity has they've started doing audit on government institutions, and it is a requirement that you must have. And we've positioned ourselves as an entity that is forward looking, and we have all these solutions, and we think that as consultants to government and also to private entities, we'll be able to put our expertise to bear, and we hope to close some of these gaps.
Because with all the things that you've been able to mention, I have a feeling that Smart Infraco is very well resourced all around to be able to manage some of these issues. Is that the case?
Exactly. So as I indicated, I mean, we're on top of issues. We manage the government cloud. It's a local cloud, and a lot of institutions are on, and we have a lot more coming going into 2027. Any requirement locally, where management is working to make sure that we are able to accommodate and host all this in Ghana. Also the National Data Center. So far I've gone to all the data centers in Ghana here. There is nothing like that facility there. I mean, you go there, there's so much space, the cooling, the power, in terms of the people that support, the people behind the service is unmatched. And our prices are also quite competitive. So I mean, generally we've positioned ourselves, and these are some of the things that we continue to do, and we continue to serve as consultants, and we continue to advise government and private entities, and then also to support them as well. So we are well positioned to address all these problems.
So to our viewers and those of you who are listening to us, I mean, there's much that has been said. I believe that if you need maybe a good consultant, a good company to be able to come in and then be able to plug in some of these gaps, you know where to go. I want to come on maybe some numbers.
Okay.
In terms of budget. Usually budget with regards to IT in most organizations comes as an afterthought.
Okay.
Or probably people wait for issues to happen before they now develop solutions to the problems that have already arisen. But I mean, with the advent of AI and stuff like that, you realize that most organizations are supposed to be proactive, so preemptive in some of these decisions. So in terms of how early organizations must begin planning of their 2026 digital infrastructure budgets, can you I mean, give a bit of advice on that and why?
Okay, so if organizations have not planned for their 2026, then what I would say is that they are a bit late. Just like we do budgets for any other thing in our organization, normally what happens is that when it comes to digitization and innovation, it's the last thing a lot of organizations want to think about. Well, it is an IT cost center, and that is the last thing you're having a conversation with the director, and all they are looking at is buying of vehicles, doing of that, and they relegate something that is supposed to be a driver for their entity to the background. So I believe that between 12 to 18 months, if you want to do proper, because it should not be something that is ad hoc.
Yeah.
You don't wait till you are attacked before you look for cybersecurity solutions. It should be part of your budget. So you are planning. So we are planning for 2026. 2026, we want to hire, we want to build this, we want to do that, and digitization and innovation or IT solutions should be part, so that you are not caught, unaware. And especially in the public sector space, 2027, as I indicated, cybersecurity is going to be very tough. Yeah. So if it is not in your budget now, then it means that you are late, but there is something that can be done. You must make provision. The reason why you make provision is that so that you it's ahead, so that it doesn't take you by surprise. Every organization must incorporate IT and digitization as a tool, as an enabler, so that they don't wait till it happens. It becomes more of reactive. And once you do it, it's quite expensive, because then you are looking at, for instance, a bank, and because you don't have any protection, your security is breached. All the information, customer information, how much people have in the account, if it's a hospital, the profiles of people who are not well, and all that. You don't want to wait until that. So you plan ahead, a year or more, to make sure that you've made a budget for it to cater for that.
Okay. All right. So, Nyamiche, let me come to you on. So Maxwell has spoken extensively about how IT or digitization has become an enabler for business. I mean, it's no more a luxury or something that maybe people consider fancy. But at the same time, people are also thinking about the cost when they are making this kind of investment. So on the cloud side, how can organizations optimize their cloud cost without compromising performance or security?
So optimizing cloud cost mostly when these conversations come up, there's always one response. Always request for what you require. That is the whole essence of cloud. You only request for what you require. They brought cloud for consumers to be able to make use of what they need at the moment, what they need now. Then they make they make tools available for easy scalability, for performance, demand, and any other thing that falls in place in terms of your application or solution. So the only one response is just make sure you always request for what you demand or what you require at the moment. If your demand grows, then gradually your cost also grows, and it also helps institutions to be able to budget, or plan across board for whatever solution that they have. If it's a new solution that you are starting with, obviously you are going to have very minimal demand or request coming towards it. So you don't need a high-end, application or resource, to run your applications. And we've had a lot of clients, especially with government clients, because most of them run an annual budget or a yearly budget in terms of their solutions. They mostly come with a high-end demand. Then they get to see that their cost is very expensive, in terms of running. Then when you engage them and you understand, you get to see that yes, they do have like a 5-year plan, but then their initial demand is very minimal, and then that saves them ×3 or ×4, even to some extent ×5 of the initial costs that they needed to commit to in terms of the infrastructure. So it's always important to always request what you want at the moment or what is needed at the moment, and you can save yourself a lot of money. Yeah.
I think usually the fear of some of these organizations is if maybe they invest for exactly what they want, and maybe something happens and they have to scale.
Yes.
Would they be able to get a budget for
yes.
what kind of advice would you
So like Maxwell indicated, it shouldn't be an ad hoc thought. Exactly. Always make sure there's a plan ahead for your digitalization agenda. Always have a long-term plan or a long-term goal for it. Just that it would be at a scalable impact. Yeah. And then also, for now you could plan if it's 5 years, 6 years. Once you know that you have a definite budget at the start of it, at any point in time, your increasing commitments that goes with the cost would not be at a huge scale that goes beyond your commitment. Exactly. So then it becomes a minimal commitment that grows with time, and then you can have a 5-year or 10-year plan for it, as long as it's not an ad hoc thought that drives your digitalization agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Yeah.
my own Bob Marley. I've realized that there are some pitfalls organizations, commit usually when they are planning for data center expansion or migration.
Yeah. It's
What
true.
are some of the ones that you've observed and then maybe?
It's true. Listening to both of them, Yamiche and Maxwell, you see that planning is at the center of all this. So organizations sometimes they plan and plan very well, but during implementation they still see gaps. So what a lot of people should do is to even simulate what they want to do. So you plan, you put the finance in place, you've done everything. One thing you must also be aware of is the skills, the knowledge gap. You must get people who have the knowledge to be able to, you're talking migration, to migrate your system from A to B. There are a lot of missteps in some of these things. The testing environment, you must test to make sure that when you are doing migration, either you are doing step migration or you are doing full migration. There are sometimes, for instance, if you are on cloud, somebody you are hosting is at the other side of the ocean, and you are doing migration at this time thinking it's night, okay? It is day. And if you don't communicate well, you see that the person will be off the network and will be complaining and all that. So the planning must be very, very thorough. And you see that cutover, timings, there are some pitfalls there.
Yeah.
You must also make sure that you inform all your clients, your customers that, look, we are doing cutover at this time, and bear with us if this happens. So they are aware. Those things are very important. Documentation is also key. So people can migrate and just lose all the documentation they've had, at the other place before they are going to the new place. And that is key. Once you lose documentation, you have lost, memory. Okay? And organization must, take that seriously. You must document where you are coming from, you must document where you are going. After you've done all that, you must be able to document and give the institution that memory to be able to work with. We also talked about staff training. Don't just take people and just put them there and expect them to function. Look, there are new things coming. Technology is advancing. You must train them. You must make sure they are on top of their job, so that there are no skill, gaps. So these are some of the things we should be looking at in terms of, look, migration is not cheap. It's very expensive, and that is why I agree with the planning bit. For them, planning. It's very important.
Then, to also add to what he mentioned, I think when he mentioned the planning, also brought to mind, especially with the use of, monitoring tools. Now, I think that is one factor a lot of people undermine, especially being on the cloud. They making use of monitoring tools. Monitoring tools are in place for you to plan ahead. They determine your current use. They determine what you do not use at all. Now, when you make use of these monitoring tools, they help you plan ahead, because you get to identify how often some events do happen, how often your capacity either grows or is less used. So when these things, these tools are available or make use to you, it lets you plan ahead. So for instance, you could have a monitoring tool, and if you determine to use just a minimal capacity at the moment, now that monitoring tool can determine that within a span of 5 days, your capacity growth has been very fast at that rate. Then it can plan for you that within the next 10 to 15 days, you are going to need this amount of capacity to be able to keep your applications or solutions running. with that, then you can then plan, you know, a respective budget to increase whatever demand that you require for your cloud solutions that you have. So having monitoring tools as part of your solutions on the cloud. A lot of people on board on the cloud and they don't invest in monitoring. What they just require is, I mean, once you deploy your application and your solution, then it means you are done with your work. But then you need to invest in monitoring, because that gives you, you know, a step ahead to plan, to grow, you know, in good scale. Then one last thing, when he mentioned migration, also came in mind, has to do with managing which workloads or which applications you deem are critical and which aren't as critical. Now, most of the times, a very simple scenario we've had is here at Smart Infraco a lot is you can have a client that would tell you that they have a production, they have a staging, and they have, you know, a disaster recovery. Now, when you have these three solutions, they all serve different purposes. Most of the times, people would want to have, for instance, a backup for all these solutions. Now, what you have a staging is for testing. Your most critical solution is your production. So you can save cost by not even offering for a backup for your staging or your non-critical workload. That saves you a lot of cost. So you only deem critical, you only pay for what you deem is very critical as well to you know, to get cost for, and also, you know, money for whatever applications that you're looking for. And that also affects migration. Then in turn, when you know you're going to have a planned migration, you know, to reduce downtime and all of those technical jargons that come with it, you can then determine when you need to make an effect to the application or when not to achieve that. So those are the 2 points I wanted to add on to his
Excellent.
comments.
All right, Rosetta, so I'm coming to you again. But before maybe you answer this question, I would want you to be able to give a definition of it for the sake of our viewers who are watching, who may be a bit novel about this term. There's something that we call zero trust architecture. And we would want to be able to first of all find out the meaning of it and how organizations can practically begin implementing zero trust architecture in 2026.
Okay, so when we talk of zero trust architecture, that one is more of like you have to always verify. Don't trust. In fact, for example, physical security. Let me use the physical security. When we come to security, we have some models that we depend on. There are 7 models.
Okay.
So the first model is the physical security. So physical security, for example, your building, you have an entrance to your home or a door to your room. Definitely there's a lock.
Okay.
Once somebody's knock, since you don't have CCTV cameras to check who the person is, you just go and peep before. If you feel like, okay, this person, I know the person, then you open the person. So that is where we call zero trust. You have to always, you have to always verify. Don't trust anybody. Always verify. And before you want to implement a zero trust architecture on your network, one, you need to have a gap analysis, or you have to assess your infrastructure. You need to assess have a auditing on the infrastructure to understand the gaps, so that you know where to implement the policies. Because one, I'll come to your network. I'm going to just do, I'll tell you I'm coming to implement zero trust implementation, but I don't know what and what you have on your infrastructure or what you've already implemented. So once I bring what I want to implement, it to be a double and it will crash. Then maybe if the system cannot hold the load, it will definitely crash. So first of all, you need to have a gap analysis. You have to analyze whatever the infrastructure, you have to analyze it and understand where the shortfalls are before you can bring the implementation. And there is something called MFA, that is multi-factor authentication. For example, I want to come down as a lay person. When we use, for example, our phone, before you get access to your WhatsApp, whatever. Now WhatsApp has even they've introduced this security, a new feature. Immediately lock your chat whether with your fingerprint, a code or password. So that is something that they are also promoting zero trust. They are making sure that your information, since it's a personal phone, you are supposed to protect it to yourself. So they also bring in this policy. Since they are also certified, they are also ensuring that they also comply with the zero trust policies that they've set, so that you being your information on your phone, you'll be able to protect yourself. It will not be now if you have you don't protect it and your WhatsApp is leaked, you can't go and hold them responsible because they've already implemented it. You are supposed to go by it, also implement it on your phone. And there is something called continuous monitoring. As my brother Nyamiche said, monitoring is a key. And with the security people, monitoring is our key.
Yeah.
Because once we collect all the logs on the infrastructure, that is where we the security will come in to see any threats ongoing. So there are several types of threats that mostly we look at. We talk of the privilege access, that is user behavior analysis. When it comes to the same, we have something we implement, that is the UBA. So we look at the user activity on the infrastructure. For example, some critical devices, some people are not supposed to have access to it. But how come my brother Robert had access to that infrastructure? Was per his credentials, he's not supposed to have access to that infrastructure. So per our monitoring, once we see that activity, we will raise an alert and send a notification to the appropriate department for them to also be notified that, one, we've seen someone intruding your system. Kindly verify for us that is indeed the person authorized to have access to that infrastructure. If it's not, quickly we have to disable the person's account, or better still, query the person. After we disable the account, we quickly send a query letter or a mail to the person for them to for the person to address it or reply and say, okay, we have also we were given some privilege some years back, but I didn't know, I was testing. Maybe that would be the answer the person will give us. But per our policy, we've implemented zero trust.
Yeah.
So we are doing our monitoring.
Yeah.
So we are not supposed to ensure that there is our infrastructures are being protected. So we will quickly disable the person's account.
Okay.
And the policy, we will set the policy, but how to enforce it on the infrastructure and also on our endpoint devices. So it's left for the compliance, the risk. When it comes to cybersecurity, we have something called governance, risk compliance and governance. So we are supposed to ensure that what we've set, it is being enforced or implemented, so that if the auditor comes, since we are more of like we are interfacing the government entities, and mostly the government entities, we are supposed to ensure that most government systems are being protected. So once we implement the zero trust, we are supposed to ensure that it is being enforced on the infrastructure. And you are supposed to have this segmentation on your infrastructure. Sometimes the Wi-Fi that we see around, a lay person will just come in, have access to it, and log in, because once he or she turns on the Wi-Fi notification on the phone, then get access. It is not ideal.
Yeah.
So we have some segmentations that we do on the infrastructure. That is where we have guest accounts, the staff, even the staff, we have categories.
Yeah.
So the guests, we have some period. When we ask you, okay, 2 hours, the guest will stay for 2 hours. Within 2 hours, your Wi-Fi will go off.
Okay.
So that is also a practice of zero trust, that implementation that we are supposed to also look at it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So for those of you who are watching us, maybe if you joined a bit late, this is the Smart Infraco Tech Forecast for 2026. And Smart Infraco is Ghana's national digital infrastructure provider, delivering secure connectivity, cloud services, data center solutions, and managed services to over 1,500 public and private institutions nationwide. Today's discussion, we are reflecting on Smart Infraco's commitment to supporting organizations with the knowledge and infrastructure required to succeed in an increasingly digital economy. So I'll be taking the last round of questions from those who are helping me. And to my left is Maxwell. So Max, what advice would you give business leaders who see tech purely as an ICT issue rather than a strategic enabler? I think you mentioned a portion of it in your previous answer.
Okay. So today, there is no organization that can exist and function without digitization. So you have directors who will travel outside of the country and they still want to keep up with exactly what is happening, in the organization. So first advice I want to give is that managers of organizations must change their mindset, that it is not about IT costs. It is an organization program, okay? Because with IT, everything goes well. You would want to have a meeting, you are not at the office, you need IT. You would want to communicate with your investors, with your board of directors. A couple of meetings are going on in country, outside country, that people don't even need to travel. Why? All through digitization. So it's something that should be embedded even in the vision of various institutions, that IT should be core, because without it, nothing can happen. And that one should also include all cross-functional leadership. So it is not about the IT sitting with IT unit. You go to most institutions and IT sits with IT unit. So that is it. Yeah. But for almost all the institutions and for almost all the functions, you need it. So HR need IT. You need systems, you need internet, you need all that, to perform the function. Okay. If you go to finance, same. You go to IT, same. You go to sales. So, for all the leadership, it should be something that should be part of whatever that they are doing, so that they can add their voice to it. And then they should just see, beyond just the cost, what benefit are we getting. Yeah. It brings efficiency, it brings effectiveness, it adds something to exactly what we are doing. Without digitization, without IT, I can say boldly, with all my teeth out, that no organization can function. But the good thing is that we, as Smart Infraco, we position ourselves, as solution consultants. And even though we are advising, we are also here to also support. And the good thing is that we are quite competitive when it comes to our prices. So generally, I think that's an advice that I would want to give to you.
Okay. So basically, then what should happen is that before maybe the change management driving IT to become an enabler instead of maybe just a subset of all that is happening within the organization, should be driven from the top,
exactly so.
Top down,
exactly so.
And not just left with a silo of maybe some few IT people.
Not at all, because every function needs it to thrive.
Okay.
Every function needs it for the organization to go. So it should not be left with a small group of people. And then now when there are issues, then we must invest, and we should not look at the cost that it will come. Okay. But what benefit are we having as an institution?
All right. So let me skip Nyamiche and then come to Robert. How can businesses ensure their systems remain reliable, available, and secure within external data center environments?
That's a very good question, Richard. Part of it, Rosetta touched on it, the zero trust policy, very important. One thing we've seen with especially local organizations or companies is that they set up, they don't put in the systems at all, and they believe that as and when they go, things will correct. That's an error. So organizations must plan and put in systems, right from the beginning, so that everybody in the organization will adapt to the organization policy. The zero trust policies, the compliance, all those things must be there. Now, that's on the security. That's why if you come to the smart managed meter data center, you will see that right from the gate there is security. Because of zero trust, there is access control, there are CCTV cameras, and there are places even some of the staff in there cannot have access to because they are not given that access, they are not authorized. So those things are all, you know, very important. Organizations must try and put those things in place, as Smart has done. Okay. Now, reliability goes to, you know, your staff and the systems you have put in place. Now, when your power systems are a bit funny, you will not have reliability. At Smart, we have a tier 3 data center that has, you know, all the redundancies in place, generators. We recently added about 54 kilowatts of, you know, solar to our mix, and so we are reliable. If you are looking for a co-location data center, Smart is the place to contact, you know. So all these things are things that we have invested in, we have taken our time, we have invested in, and we have put it out there in the public for them to, you know, consult, and we will help them. Our sales team are also out there, you know, selling and educating people on where to go. It's very important. Now, we said something from the beginning. Should organizations, you know, co-locate, or should they have their systems on-prem? Now, there are risks inherent in putting your systems on-prem.
Okay.
Fire, insurance, and all that. When you bring that to, for instance, Smart at meter data center, we take on the risk. We are protecting you. You are not going to deal with the power. We have it. So we are going to take that cost off you. Cooling cost is very expensive. We will take it upon ourselves, you know. So we take all that away from you and we manage it. All you need to do is to sit in your office, open your computer, and voila, you are on there. So 2026, 2027, we are appealing to all organizations. Look, come to us or invite us. We will come to you and we will, you know, let you know how we can help you. So that in that partnership, we can see how we can help each other, a win-win situation.
All right. Before I take the last words from Rosetta and then Kelvin, to our viewers, you are not left out of the conversation. I mean, there is a chat box available. Kindly send in your questions. If you have any comments, please share it over there, and the team will arrange for us to be able to ask your questions on your behalf, or maybe read the comments that you have shared. So let me now come to Rosetta, our lady, Mama Gan. Charlie, we do from. So which cybersecurity investments offer the highest ROI, or return on investment, for organizations with limited budget?
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. So when I was talking about the zero trust, I made mention of the MFE. It is very, very low cost, but have high impact on our systems.
Okay.
Because without the MFA, we are exposing our infrastructure, or we are even exposing our information, our personal information, to the world. Because, for example, if your phone is not locked, some of the information on your phones are not locked, or is not passworded, and your phone get missing, they've got access to your phone, your information on the phone. So mostly I preach about MFA a lot. That's the multi-factor authentication. And when we talk of the phishing, I made mention, my first submission, I said 2026, phishing will be increasing because of the power of AI. So AI is, though it's a good thing, but it's also bringing a big challenge, or it's causing damage on our infrastructure. In the sense that if we don't educate the workers or the employees more on phishing, or there's no more or how to handle attack or ransomware on your endpoint, it is going to cost the organization. So we have to touch on awareness training for employees to minimize phishing attack on the infrastructure or among the people in the organization. And I also talk about the endpoint. Mr. Maxwell made mention of one of our vendors, that is the Trademark Group. This God being so good, they were the first when it comes to cybersecurity solutions or implementation. They were the first company in the world. So since we are in partnership with them, endpoint is our key.
Okay.
We protect the endpoint devices, because once we allow people to take the office machines to their house, we need to ensure that it is being protected, so that some information company's information on the infrastructure or on the system will not be leaked when stolen. So I'll be glad you come to us for endpoint solutions, because it is solid and the expertise are there to help you secure your endpoint devices. And when we talk of vulnerabilities, day in and out, our system gets updates because of attacks that are coming from the stubborn, the scammers. So there's these automated tools for patching and also for endpoint for vulnerabilities, to make sure that our systems they are running on top of their game, they meet the basic requirements, and also the patches are being, we don't easily patch systems. Once the update comes, we don't quickly run, we test, we have a test environment, but that is the power of the engineers that you have. We patch the system, we test it on our test environment, and we see if there are any CVEs attached to this patching. If there are no any CVEs attached to this patching, that is where we come to the production environment and make sure that our system is well protected, that we don't make room for any remote execution for attackers to have access to our infrastructure or our data on the infrastructure. So these are the few things that I'll talk about. Thank you.
All right. So before I come to Namiche, we've had some few questions. The first one is coming from our own brother Franklin Kuju, the president of Imani, on Instagram. He says that what should organizations look out for when selecting technology partners for long-term infrastructure investments? So this one, any of you can go. What should organizations look out for when selecting tech partners for long-term infrastructure investments?
So I think one, the organization's ability or their track record is quite important. I mean, for an organization to develop to a certain stage, or a brand to develop to a certain stage, it means that it has gone through some phases. So when I'm looking for a partner, one of the things is that, is this partner, will they be able to deliver the kind of solution I want? And if they would, what is their track record? What are people saying? Have they done it elsewhere? You look for references. Apart from that, how cost effective are they? Yeah, I mean, do they come, something I can manage within my budget? And then also people behind, the people who are behind the organization in terms of the personnel, their expertise. Any other organization can just pop up and when might go through all the processes and get certification, but may not have the expertise to deliver the service. And then I mean, for most of these organizations, what you also must look for is, I mean, in terms of their sustainability. Yeah, I mean, it's not an organization that you think that the infrastructure they have within a period of time that you want to be? Do they have longevity? Well, you can even look at the personnel, and personnel come as part of assets. So all put together, you must do some due diligence, and test. And now it is very easy and it's very common. You can go online and look at reviews or referrals, other companies that are with this entity, what have been their experience. And for a lot of organizations that are very happy, they'll be willing to tell you exactly their experience. So once you're able to do a broad analysis, and then also your own focus, or your own vision that you have, does it tally with this organization? Would they be able to help me from 1 to 2? Would they be there? The support, when you need support, would they be there to give you the support? And now for most of organizations, they are looking for 24-hour support. Yeah. So this organization, when I go to them, and I'm looking for them, when I have problems, would they be there to support me? So generally, you must holistically look at all that before you make such a decision.
Okay. All right. Any addition?
To add to that, you should check auditing. Not only the financial auditing, but the technical auditing, to make sure that all those things are in place, because you want to partner.
Yeah.
Very important.
All right. And then the second question is coming from Kwabna Ando. It's on LinkedIn. It is that how should boards and executive leadership be more involved in tech decision making? I think this is a very critical question.
Very critical.
It is. A lot of times, boards and management, they want to leave it to the people.
Second group.
Exactly. they are not ready to go through the critical thinking. They want some people to do the thinking and then come to them. Okay, are the numbers correct? Okay, can we do this? Okay, approved. No. So they must apply themselves to the wheel. They must put their hands on them. They must be part of the decision making. They must understand it. And so if it's going wrong, they are hands-on. They can tell that no, this is going wrong. If they are going right, they can tell that yes, this is how we want it. They are going right. That's how organizing the boards, the management must be involved in such decision making.
So maybe what I need to also is that management must take a step. Some of these decisions should not just be reports, but the decision must be taken to them. They must be involved. This is what we want to do. So management board must request that this is the part you want to go on your digitalization journey. We want to know, how is it going to end? Begin to ask questions so that you don't leave it when there are issues and then we begin to question why that. But when board members are involved and they begin to ask critical questions, I'm sure that they can get a very good solution that may not generate a lot of issues.
Okay, all right. And the last is coming from YouTube, and it's thumbs up for all of you for the wonderful contributions that are coming. But there's one person who has, selectively picked on Kelvin. That's how come I reserved your last question for the last. And when I was young, one of the things that I really desired was the kanzo of jollof. Usually that's where all the ingredients are. So, somebody says that he really loves, the contribution, the insights that you are giving from your side. So, to your last question, how important will automation, orchestration, and cloud native tools be in the next phase of transformation?
So, I think it is very important, and it will be very much important. So today, the current trend we have today is the use of cloud native tools. Now, cloud native tools have become one of the biggest driving sector in the technology sector, both the banking, financial, and heavily in cybersecurity. Now, cybersecurity today, there are a lot of automation and orchestration tools that are being used to identify threats, make analytics and automation. And all these are run by cloud native. Now, a lot of people would ask or would like to understand what the cloud native is. So basically, cloud native is just leveraging cloud computing with using microservices or micro applications. So there's, in basic layman terms, it's like having a big box, and then you just insert small containers in those boxes. As it went back then, you would have a big box for your package, and you could use just that big box for only that one package. Now, what cloud native has done is to make use of that big box for different packages, to the extent that even if you lose one package in that box, you have other packages available for you in that same box. So that is where the world has grown into. And today, the technology that is backed by cloud native is called containerization and Kubernetes. And most of those solutions are run with automation and orchestration. It is not done by manual work. So, and it has also saved a lot of companies, institutions cost.
Okay.
So today, that is where everybody is moving towards cloud native. Even Smart Infraco, as part of our future plan, we are also moving towards cloud native technologies and orchestration to make service and application delivery very easy and seamless. So people need to break the skill gap a lot with the use of learning orchestration, automation, and it has become very predominant. Another factor that has to do with that is the security and compliance bit that has to do with that as well. Now, a lot of security tools, like I said, cybersecurity, are run by analytics and automation, and a lot of these tools are using these cloud native technologies, to run them. So it is very important that institutions or even individuals break the skill gap towards that, and it's becoming a dominating factor in the market. Today, we can say that about 40% of deployments in the cybersecurity sector, the marketing sector, the financial sector, they are all making use of these cloud native tools because it's easy when it comes to using them for analytics, automation, monitoring, and all those other factors that has to do with cloud technologies and it native tools that come with it. Then the last thing has to do with how it has improved capacity and workload cost. So like the first example I gave, where you could have one big box and you just need to use only one package in that box. I mean, if you're a big company, then it means you would need to make purchase of these different number of boxes. But today you can just have that one box, and you could have all the applications or solutions that you are looking for just running from that one box, and you could still scale up even with that one box and still save yourself some cost. So it's becoming a very big dominating factor, and institutions should look into that. And Smart Infraco is also readily available in our next year plan to make sure cloud native tools are brought closer to our customers to be able to run their solutions and also save them costs.
All right. Before maybe I leave you to go, I think being in a summit somewhere about 2 weeks ago, this Dodo Summit, after the panel discussion and then having some conversations on the sidelines, people were a bit surprised that there's a local cloud provider in Ghana. And I know that you guys are doing some amazing jobs. So if you can throw a bit more light on what Smart is doing on the local cloud side, I believe it will be good for our viewers.
Yes. So Smart Infraco, has been a big partner to government, when it comes to offering cloud solutions to government. I think one of the biggest problems that government was facing, especially had to do with, these institutions managing hardwares themselves. So government brought the initiative to, localize cloud and to prevent companies from, prevent companies from, moving their workloads outside the country to sit data outside. Now, what Smart Infraco is making sure is to ensure that most of Ghanaian, companies, Ghanaian enterprise companies, government institutions, manage or host their data locally. So Smart Infraco has a big cloud capacity infrastructure sitting right at the NITA data center, where any other cloud infrastructure services that you are looking for can be offered and provided for you, including managed service. Currently, we offer infrastructure as a service. That is one of our biggest infrastructure cloud solution that we offer, and we have about 40% of workloads that are running locally in Ghana that are serving government institutions, the private sector institutions that are serving them very much. We also offer platform as a service. Now today, I think a lot of people don't know, but about 90% of the governmental websites are all managed here locally in the country, and you have competent Ghanaian IT experts who are managing these websites across the country, and it's all handled and managed by Smart Infraco, and they are all on the cloud, on the Smart Infraco cloud. So it's very interesting that, and it comes as a surprise because everybody assumes that once you talk about the cloud, it is outside the country, it's the Western man that the AWS, the Azure that is happening, but cloud is very local. The only difference is you don't manage the cost that comes to it, but it is very local, and Smart Infraco has taken a step forward to make it very accessible for everybody and institutions. And today we have a lot of private sector, we have financial institutions that are on our cloud, and most of the times when it comes to the cloud, a lot of people complain, especially the financial sector. They complain about audits, compliance, and regulations, but then it will surprise you that on Smart Infraco cloud we have the full capability, that we have about 2 financial institutions that host on our cloud, and we are serving them very well, and they are very confident in the offerings that we provide for them. And that has given us also the bold step to move forward next year to make available cloud native tools, and that cloud native tool also takes up as a big step forward to be close to the AWSs and the Azure, because most institutions are looking for managed service, and those are solutions that are being offered across board. So that is it with Smart Infraco and NITA, and what we are looking for to achieve Ghana's digitalization agenda locally.
All right. Okay, viewers, so soon we've come to one end. This has been the Smart Infraco Tech Trends and Forecast for 2026. As I mentioned earlier on, Smart Infraco is Ghana's national digital infrastructure provider, delivering secure connectivity, cloud services, data center solutions, and managed services to over 1,500 public and private institutions nationwide. Today's discussion has been reflecting on Smart Infraco's commitment to supporting organizations with the knowledge and infrastructure required to succeed in an increasingly digital economy. I'd like to say a very big thank you to my friends over here who helped us to run this conversation successfully. So first of all, Maxwell Ankuma Apia is a sales manager with Smart Infraco. We have our senior cloud engineer, Kelvin Nyameche, over here. We have our data center manager, Robert Nesta. Is it Gameji?
Yeah.
Yes, over here, who also assisted us with the conversation. And then we have our sister Rosetta here, who took charge of the cybersecurity. We'd like to say a very big thank you to you also, our viewers. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we pray for you, even as we are shepherds in the marketplace. We want to pray for you that you will be alive and in good health as we meet again in 2026. I mean, we are waiting and hoping for you to come for us to have conversations on possible partnerships. So thank you so much for spending time with us. God bless you and have a very good weekend ahead.